So
Yeah.
obviously you're an advocate for Las Vegas and the Las Vegas tech scene. Give the pitch. Like, you know, they'll be pitching their 2 minutes. Why would I start a startup in Las Vegas?
I think two things. If some of your customers in Vegas, I think if you're doing nightlife, entertainment, hospitality, or if your business really depends on a lot of tourism, I think there's something like 40 million people visit Las Vegas a year, right? So if you're doing something in tourism that's super interesting, be close to your customers. Second is any international startups here? I think there's a couple, right? So I think we've talked, if we ever figure out this startup visa stuff, Vegas is going to be really interesting for international startups because I think one, we actually just launched the infographic. I think if you live in San Francisco and you pay maybe $3,000 a month in rent for a 600 square foot one bedroom, which is sadly typical these days, you can go to Vegas and get a 4-bedroom house with a pool for $3,000 a month and put your entire 20-person startup in that house. You can house for $3,000 a month. Your runway will be crazy long there. And you know, people are always like, is there talent there? There is. There's obviously fewer, but it's like, how hard is it to hire developers in San Francisco, right? Just because we're surrounded by developers doesn't mean it's easy. So it's hard anywhere, but if you do find developers in Vegas, they're gonna be way cheaper as well. So I think that's one of the value props of Vegas. And then I think, if at your core, I think here you're all builders, that's why you're doing a startup, but if you're actually excited about, you know, I wanna help build a startup community, like for those people who came out of Boulder like 10 years ago, it's like, you know, when we first started being a startup in Boulder, we were like one of 3 startups, and now look at it. Like, that's kind of a nice badge to have if you're excited about that.
Still what? I mean, you're here, 50% of VC funding goes to startups in California. What's the flip side of that? I mean, why stay here?
Yeah, being close, right? I mean, things like Draper University, right? The fact that Tim and the team can bring all these great speakers, and I'm not calling myself a great speaker, sorry, that sounded super loaded. All these speakers, some who are great, you know, because this is in our backyard, right? It's super easy flow, but I think the interesting thing about Vegas, again, kind of the positive spin is like Tim was just in Vegas last week for Collision Conference. Oh, there's some Collision Conference people there? Great. And so there's a lot of people coming in and out of Vegas, but they're just not next door all day, right? You can't go to Sand Hill Road and do the whole investor tour. So other thing though, you know, it's like, I was just in Vegas on Monday. I take the 5:45 a.m. flight out of San Francisco, which is ridiculous, but I can make a 7:30 breakfast meeting. Like, so it's not that bad, right? And again, you always think about Vegas, like, let's get fucked up. Oh shit, sorry, let's get drunk. But I forgot, ABC Family, sorry. And there is that.
It's real Silicon Valley talk here.
And there is that image of Vegas, but I think people who visited downtown Vegas, it's this completely different world, right? It's not the Strip, it's like these coffee shops, it's a very communal environment. It's a little bit like this, right? Like you guys are gonna walk out of here, hopefully be successful, but I think you're gonna stay in touch with a lot of the people in this class. I think downtown Las Vegas is like, almost like a community as an accelerator cut because it's so small. In downtown Las Vegas, and a lot of people, if you've never been to Vegas, you've probably, or even if you have been to Vegas, you might have never been to downtown Vegas. It's like the old Vegas, and it's I'll take one really quick step back. Zappos headquarters is moved there. And I kind of use the analogy of like, if you guys have been to the Twitter office and Square office in San Francisco, it's in like central mid-market, which is not a great neighborhood, right? But I think the city I'm imagining the city told those startups, like, you move your 1,000 employees here, we'll clean up the city around you. Tony, our CEO, moved Zappos to downtown Las Vegas, and he took over the old City Hall, and he knew that, well, they didn't clean up the neighborhood for City Hall, they're not going to for us, so he actually put $350 million of his own money to revitalize downtown. $50 million is into our tech fund. So how do we build a tech community there? So what didn't even exist like a couple years ago, there's now free co-work spaces, there's co-work spaces that startups meet, there's all these tech events. So there's a community, but it's still pretty small. Like out of our 100 investments in Vegas Tech Fund, maybe about 20, 25 of them are based in Vegas. And there's still other startups. Like every city has startups, right? But now it's like, how do we kind of bring them together? So, so that exists.
What's your biggest selling point bringing them over to Vegas?
I think it's those couple things. There is definitely a lower cost of living. I think it makes it better for your business because you're close
to Austin, Texas, that's really low as well.
Totally. It's not as low as it used to be, right? You know, it is, right? And stuff changes. It's really close to, if you do business in San Francisco and LA, it's really close. So I think it's convenient. And if you're excited about helping build a community, what I tell people is like, I never try and oversell Vegas. I tell people it is not perfect. You're not going to get lunch with Tony every Friday because he's in Vegas. People ask me that all the time. They're like, can Tony be my mentor? I'm like, I work with Tony in 2 different jobs. He's not even my mentor, right? Like, it doesn't mean he doesn't care. It's just he's so freaking busy, right? And so one of the selling points is there is low cost of living if it's convenience. And if you're just in your heart of hearts, you're excited about building community. I tell people it's like, you know, if you're a Wild West trailblazer, like, don't come expecting cabins to be built. We're looking for people to chop down trees and build some cabins with us. And that's exciting to some people. It's interesting. There's been some investors that have told startups that we've invested in, don't take Vegas Tech Fund money. And
why?
The first time I heard that, right, I was like, what? Like, don't take money. We want to write you a check, right? Because they're like, Vegas Tech Fund money has strings attached to it. They want you to be a community builder. Totally right. Community building is hard, and it takes time.